Welcome to Before You Call It Quits. I'm your host and moderator, Jeff Wilson, CPA, Certified Fraud Examiner, and Certified Divorce Financial Analyst. In this show here, we navigate the tough turns and trails of life's most challenging journeys. Today, we're going to be delving into a topic that's just difficult to endure and is super important to prepare for, and that's the journey of divorce. It's more than just an emotional decision to decide to call it quits. It's a complex process that requires careful planning and preparation in order to ensure that you can get through the divorce process as inexpensive as possible and with being emotionally intact when it's done. Divorce isn't just about making that decision to say call it quits. It's also about being smart, informed, and ready for the steps that follow. Once you say those words, I think I want a divorce, you're going to set off a trigger of actions, not only for you, but as well as your spouse. And it's very important that before that trigger is set off, that you obtain some special documents to ensure the divorce proceedings can go as smooth as possible. So let's break this down, starting with the first documents on our list, the marital financial statements. Think of your marital financial statements as the financial diary of your marriage. These things consist of your bank statements, credit card records, and mortgage documents. You want to have copies of all of these. In the divorce process, there's a process called discovery, where each of the parties are required to basically open up their books and say, here's what I own, here's what I owe, here's what I have. They all paint a picture of your shared financial life. But some of the things, or some of the, misconceptions or the issues with discovery is your partner may not be as forthcoming during the divorce proceedings as you need them to be. And that's why it's so important to have these documents ahead of time. That way you can provide those documents to your lawyer or your certified divorce financial analyst in order to ensure that they can review those documents and ensure that your spouse is showing their proper assets and they're being really truthful during discovery. The key is the understanding what's owed, what's owned, and how to ensure that the court is able to fairly divide the pie. And I would say when we talk about fair, there's no fairness in the court. There's just equitable distribution. Next up, we have proof of income. This isn't just about what's coming in. It's also about ensuring that the things like alimony and child support are based on real and accurate numbers. It's about fairness and clarity for both parties. In discovery, the judge is making the decision based on the documents provided, and it's extremely important for either of the spouses to ensure the other is actually reporting their actual income, Specifically, if you're a spouse receiving child support or alimony, you want to ensure that the judge has that proper income, and that's why it's important to get these documents. Copy of these documents before you call it quits. And if you are what we call the money spouse, the one that will paying child support and alimony, you want to make sure that you're paying your fair amount. And the way that you pay the fair amount of any of those expenses is to ensure that you have the documents showing what your spouse actually earned during the marriage, as well as what you truthfully earned during the marriage as well. Now, if you have a prenup or a postnup, it's time to bring that to light. You want to make sure that you have a copy of that prior to you saying you're going to call it quits. These documents have a significant influence over how assets are divided and are a critical part of the divorce process. It's very important that before you call it quits, to get a copy of the original or that you have the original intact. I have seen some cases where an illegitimate postnup or prenup has been doctored, and sometimes someone has not been able to prove, or there's a lot of forensic costs that go in disproving a fraudulent and prenuptial agreement. So you want to make sure you get a copy. And let's not forget the property documents. If you own a home, you want a copy of the deed to your home, the title to your car, and what you're trying to ensure is that when in the divorce proceedings, you can accurately show what was jointly owned, which is marital property, and what's not jointly owned, which probably can be separate, what's typically called separate property. And you want the judge as well as the attorneys to be able to understand the difference between the two types of assets, so they can understand how the division of asset process for marital assets should go. And lastly, but definitely not least, is the personal documents. Birth certificates, social security cards, passports, and if you have children, you need to get these copies as well. Trust me, the worst thing you want to do is have to enroll your child in activities and need any of these documents in there with the other spouse or with whom you are not on good terms with or not communicating with at this time. So you want to make sure you get copies of all of those: birth certificates, social security, and passports before you call it quits. And an extra little piece there, if your state has a child license, child identification, where you can get a child ID, I would highly recommend you do that. Gathering documents might feel like just another task on an already long list as you made the decision that you want to divorce. But trust me, it's a step that can set the stage for a much more clearer, more straightforward, and less emotionally stressful journey through the complexities of a divorce. Remember, when you're doing this, making these copies, this isn't about secrecy or gaining an upper hand. It's about being prepared. It's about being fair. It's about being respectful. And it's about managing your emotional stress. And one way to manage your emotional stress through an already stressful journey of divorce is ensuring that you have the essential documents needed before deciding to call it quits. If you're unsure about any part of this process, don't hesitate to seek professional advice. I recommend talking to a CPA that specializes in divorce, a certified fraud examiner, or what's called a forensic accountant, as well as a certified divorce financial analyst that can help you through the divorce process, as well as some of the financial planning implications that occur during the divorce process. Feel free to reach out to us at Family Law Forensic Accountants at www.FLFA-WIICPAs.com with confidence. Thank you for joining us today. It's never easy to talk about divorce, to think about divorce, or to go through that process. But it's conversations like these that can make the divorce path just a little bit easier to navigate, just a tad bit less stressful, and a little bit less expensive. So until next time, take care of yourselves and take care of each other.